Welcome to Two Girls Talk Transits with our hosts.
Hi, I'm Maddie.delrae. I'm a professional practicing astrologer with a focus more on Hellenistic traditional astrology and with an intense love and desire for predictive transiting astrology.
And I'm Kaleigh Smith. I'm a healing coach and art therapy grad student with a slight obsession with reading the stars. I combine astrology, spirituality, and traditional psychology to help people live with intention. Without further ado, we welcome you to Two Girls Talk Transits, where we talk about all the upcoming astrological transits and what you can do to keep yourself sane and absolutely aligned.
Hello, and welcome everyone to the next episode of Two Girls Talk Transits. We'll be reviewing the astrology from March 24th through March 30th, and we're a host. I'm Maddie.
I'm Kaleigh.
Let's get started. So this is eclipse week, and that's really the main event for this whole week is just the eclipse on the 24th, building up for that full moon. We have Venus ruling the eclipse and like the main character for sure this week in Pisces. She's making a sextile to Jupiter. This is such a good aspect. This is a very, very cute, but like super abundant aspect just because first off, Venus and Jupiter are in each other's signs. Venus is exalted, and then there's this mutual reception when they're both in each other's signs. So they're both kind of talking to each other already, and then they're both benefics. So I don't know. I like this day. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I feel like it's a good little start. I feel like eclipse season, I think we talked about this before, but can bring up some fear because it's such big energy, like such big energy shifts. But yeah, having this start off, I think it's really, really beautiful. I think we have a nice opportunity to feel some positive emotions before we go into this, or even kind of perceiving the shift in a more positive light. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, any of the aspects right before the eclipse, like this is happening almost exactly during it because the eclipse is on the 25th, but at 3 a.m. Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of sets the tone, right? These aspects set the tone. So Venus sextiling Jupiter, it's just a really moment of like, there's flow, there's ease, there's abundance, there's this feeling connected and whole. And that's going into the eclipse. So it is like, hey, take a breath. It's all going to be okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and look to what you can appreciate during this time, during this weekend.
Yeah, that's a really good, cute little notion before we get going into it.
Yeah. So, and it's so sweet, and I think it plays forward. So the eclipse is on the 25th. It's a full moon, lunar eclipse in Libra. I'm going to share my screen, and it's our second one in this sign. So for those of you on the audio only, the full moon's at 5 degrees of Libra, sitting opposite the sun in Aries at 5 degrees of Aries. The nodes are at 15 degrees of both Aries and Libra. Mercury is in Aries at 23, Chiron's in Aries at 18, but far enough away from this full moon that it's not too much of a thing. The
Mhm.
rest of the planets, Mars, Saturn, Venus, are all in Pisces, and of course, Jupiter and Taurus. Oh.
Yeah.
So, did
Mhm.
you have any initial thoughts? Let's go into my spiel.
No, go into your spiel. I'm ready to listen.
I have been prepping horoscopes, so if you didn't know, I'm gonna plug myself there real quick. I write horoscopes for both the full moon, new moon every month. You can get on my email list on my website and get these in your inbox. But I was prepping the horoscopes right before this call, and this is a complete 180, like a complete 180 from the eclipse that we had in the fall on October 14th. That was our first one in Libra because when we look at these eclipses, they're ruled by Venus. And in the fall, Venus was in Virgo, which is the sign of her fall. But now Venus is in 180 degrees away from that place in Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
She is sitting next to Saturn, but she's past that Saturn conjunction and applying to Jupiter. So this is a big release. It's a full moon. You have to release something. You have to let something go. But you feel ready for it. Like, it feels good. It feels important. It feels necessary. It's almost like whatever you started creating in your life in October, it was unnecessary, or it was come to its high point. It's now come, maybe a stressor in your life has started October. I know for me, I had some things come up, but now we're coming to that opposite. We're coming over the hill, and it's like, hey, it's actually okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like if I'm like just reflecting on eclipse season back then, that for me was a really like crazy time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't feel any what similar now to what I felt then. And I feel like it's almost like that. Have you ever heard that quote? It's like you need to clear space to like welcome in new things.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Yes.
yeah, it feels very much like that. Like we had to like purge those old behaviors, those old ways of being, so we could get to the point where we're welcoming in this newness. And yeah, with these aspects to Venus here, it can feel like that newness is welcomed by, yeah, like you mentioned, it's welcomed by us. Like we are
Mm-hmm.
even maybe a little bit excited to finally have turned the corner and then found ourselves where we are.
Yeah, like, we're letting go of a really big piece, because even that, it's a weird juxtaposition, but that new moon in October, like, it was a new moon, but it's a south node eclipse. All the eclipses in Libra are south node, and south node is traditionally, in Vedic astrology, the nodes are the head of the dragon, north node Rahu, and then the south node Kentu is the tail of the dragon. The
Mm-hmm.
head, you bring in information, or you bring in food, water, you consume through the mouth, and then you release through the body, or through the latter half of the body. You release and purge and let go. So
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like the new moon in October was like, this is a new beginning of what you're going to have to let go of over the next 6 months. And
Mm-hmm.
now this full moon is like, here's the peak point. Great job. Celebrate yourself. Look how much you have let go of these stressors, of these frustrations. Look how you have purged this from your body. That's so exciting, because, yeah, the new moon eclipse is going to be 2 weeks after this. It's going to be really intense and really close in Aries. And this is like the prep work to that point.
Mm-hmm. So then, like comparatively, so the south node would be this purging and this letting go, and then when we're experiencing the eclipse in 2 weeks, that's going to be more like a welcoming or like a walking towards something.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming to you whether you want it or not. You're getting something new. You're getting an intense focus of energy in that Aries house. But these two houses always work in polarities, and we talked about this before. And that's how the nodes work. So, like, you have to let go of something from the Libra house, so that you can step into the Aries house with more passion, fire, and energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, I like it. As far as eclipses go, it's not to say this purely positive. Like, there is no, pure positive. It's still an eclipse, which means it's still hidden information. Eclipses obscure light, so they're known to obscure information from people. So there still may be things you don't quite understand. But with Venus and Pisces, Pisces is all about that faith. How can you have faith of that it's unfolding in the way that it needs to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of like even if we're stepping back to like the archetypes of Libra and Aries, Aries is very much the leader. How do we step forward courageously? It really embodies this courage element. And I think that's kind of fitting for right now. How
Mm-hmm.
can we go forward courageously? Even we can notice that the fear is there. That's totally okay, but it's moving forward anyways with that fear.
Right, exactly. Like, still trusting yourself too, with Aries being a lot about
Mhm.
Your
self.
decisions, yeah, yourself, right?
Yeah.
Trusting yourself to just move forward and know that you have the experience and the knowledge necessary for this next step. And so I think the Aries eclipse is going to be a little more challenging than this one. So I think this is a good kind of start into this season, at least.
Yeah. What about people who have like a little bit of like basic knowledge of astrology and they, they kind of know about Aries and Libra, and then Libra is more so kind of about the other and about
Mhm.
service to other people and working with other people. And then Aries is more about the self. How do you think this eclipse like aligns with those concepts? Like, do you think that we in some way are letting go of the Libra tendency to prioritize others over ourselves? Or do you think that is playing some kind of part in this?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I would look more to your houses first off, because the signs just kind of give you a general vibe, but the houses would really tell you where this is happening in your life. But to your point, Libra is an interesting sign because Saturn is exalted in Libra,
Mhm.
and Saturn is about our systems, right? And so sometimes in this context, I'm going to be looking at this for like a very broad mundane stance. But, in this context, like Libra, being the sign that Saturn's exalted and Venus is close to Saturn during this eclipse, is like you are letting go of those attachments to, like, yes, other people, but potentially to like the systems, right? Like our expectations of life have been formed by other people, by who have been formed by the system, by our governments, by our society,
Mhm.
by all of that. That's all really contained in that area of Libra, where it's all about let's stay harmony here, being Venus, let's keep it harmonious in terms of relationships. But this may be a full moon, especially with everything going on collectively, of like, that's not serving us. Trying to just keep the peace has been not helping the right people or not helping anybody that needs the help. So we need to actually stand up for our individual values, the Aries piece, our individual desires, and move in that direction, because that kind of breaks apart the systematic things that aren't serving us.
Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful interpretation because I feel like there is so much changing right now and so fast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think ever before in history we've experienced such like rapid change in short
Mm-hmm.
periods of time. And it really is causing us to reflect on these systems that we have in place and how much they're serving us. And I would have never made that connection between Libra and Saturn. So I think it was really great that you highlighted that.
Yeah, I think people tend to, Libra always gets cast aside of like, it's the sign of other people and just relationships and that, but it's not that. It's the scales. Like, I always think it's funny, like, every law firm has the scales represented
They
on
do,
there.
yeah.
And it's like, that's so Saturnian, is it not?
Mhm. Yeah, very.
Like, to be the judge of everyone's life, that's so Saturn. So Libra is that kind of sneaky little sign that's like there's actually a lot of emphasis there.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like Libra does, pack a little bit of a punch too, like uh like actually I usually think of Saturn associated with Capricorn and with Aquarius, but I didn't know that it had kind of this tie to Libra. Um
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it kind of explains that, need for justice, that like rightness and that
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they
Oh my
do have
gosh.
yeah.
Unjust a Libra, and there's some like rage.
Oh,
Like,
trust me, I know. Yeah. You will not be unjusting a Libra without hearing about it. Yeah.
oh my gosh, till you die, they will
Yeah.
take that to the grave. Yeah.
I know it. Yeah. You better watch out because if you guys think Libra is innocent, they will come for you.
Just you won't expect it. That's
Yeah.
what's gonna happen.
I know.
So yeah, I think it's just this is the point where we're just getting really fed up with the way the systems are. And the systems, to the point of it being like a Venus aspects, the systems do need to be more community oriented, and you need to be more about the
Hmm.
people and the women too. And like, the more feminine side of just society instead of this constant masculine war and consumerism and creation.
Yeah, that's a really good point because the system does like it even I've read things that it favors the male,
Mhm.
how do you say this? Not biological clock, but like their rhythms, male rhythms.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
the way that they flow versus the woman's 28-day cycle and their need to kind of tend to that. And then even everybody who falls in between that, like no one lives from the same structure as you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like women are being, disserviced in this moment because we're constantly required to show up in the same fashion as men. And it's just like, of course we're flexible, we can bend and we can shift, but you know, there's also other ways that would be
It's not
just fine.
serving us now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
it's just not. So that, yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
That's the eclipse. If you're cardinal rising, if you're cardinal signs, so Aries, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer, you're gonna feel this even more. If you're one of
Mhm.
those rising signs, that'll be hitting a significant house for you.
Mhm.
So just pay attention.
Cool.
Ah.
Do we have anything else?
Not for that. The week is quieter. We'll just have on the 28th, Venus and Pisces making a sextile to Uranus and Taurus. That's a soft aspect with it being a sextile, but may speak to the eclipse of again, that foreshadowing that I keep talking about happening in late April about significant change or significant disruption. This eclipse is feeding into that need. Like there's that connection with Uranus, like here's the change that's going to start unfolding. This needs to change in these areas now. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's good.
well,
Cool. Well, it should be a good week filled with
yeah.
some nice moments. So, I'm kind of,
Practically, I'll just add
yeah.
practically, relationships are really, going to be
Hmm.
brought up and probably good things and also probably some things that need to change in relationships. So just pay attention.
Yeah, with all this Venus energy there will be a lot of highlight on relationships and how
Mm-hmm.
we're feeling in those. So different things can definitely come up to the surface.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So yeah, just pay attention, let things unfold this week, let yourself just kind of feel everything, watch how things change or don't change, and be present in all of it.
Cool. Okay.
Kaleigh, where can people find you, learn more about you, all your work?
Yeah, you can find me at Heal.onearth, heal.onearth on Instagram. And then you can follow us, Two Girls Talk Transits. We're on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. What about you, Maddie?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram of maddie.delrae, and my website for all information about me is maddie.delrae.com.
Cool.
Okay. All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye bye.